Do you like timeless classics?
Yes.
Are you looking for curated designer vintage?
I am
actually.
You are? You guys are in the market?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I have some breaking news for you.
Spill.
Look no further than Funny Girl Vintage, your go-to destination for curated, one-of-a-kind vintage pieces that'll have you looking and feeling amazing. And they have a showroom in Culver City. You can book your one-on-one style consultation at funnygirlvintage.com or on their Instagram at funnygirlvintage. And guess what, ladies?
What?
For our podcast listeners, you can get 10% off using the code NIGHT.
How do you spell that?
NIGHT for 10% off, and we thank Funny Girl Vintage for sponsoring this episode. Welcome back to Night School. I'm Jessie Zand.
I'm Alana Cloud Robinson.
I'm Izzy Hunter.
It's been so long.
I
I
know.
know. I've missed you guys.
Crazy. I'm wearing the same makeup as I was last
You
episode.
managed to keep it really clean and the right clean copy.
I
didn't
wanted
take it
to make
off.
sure that you guys had something familiar to hold on to
Thank you.
when I came back because I look so different.
My hair, I cut off inches of it.
I can tell.
and
inches
I got some
shorter.
work done.
I can tell that as well.
It's natural. Oh no, you can.
Oh no, that's not good. That's bad word.
Oh no. No, honestly, I do want to shout out my lip filler girl.
Don't say that place because if it gets discovered, your
Oh,
lip
that's
filler
true.
girl,
Then
then the rates will go up because I get my laser done there and it's cheap.
That
Love
was
you.
such an intense interaction to witness.
Jessie does not let us do anything for free anymore. There's no free promo on this show.
Unless it's kookaroo.
Yeah, I was the one that was saying, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you were.
Although many people have reached out and told me, oh my God, thank you so much for telling me Kookaroo is back. Speaking of plot twist, Casey Anthony is on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone saw this, but
She said she's a legal advocate. Girl, what? For
Hold on.
yourself and you're lying?
Today is Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This is my first of probably many recordings
Oh no.
on a series that I'm starting.
Is her
I am
Substack
a legal
paywalled?
advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011.
Legal field.
And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate that I start to advocate for myself. And also
What is this
advocate for my
angle?
daughter. For those
I
of you who
know.
don't know, my name is
It's
Casey
very
Anthony.
like
My daughter
military
is
woman,
Keida
like
Anthony.
when the
Yeah.
military women do their like ponytail,
This is not
their
about them.
bun
This is
Yeah.
things.
not
It's
in
giving that a
response to
little bit.
anything. I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me, and now look
Thrust.
at
Girl.
The way you
A blessing
thrust
as
your
opposed
daughter's
to the
body
curse
into
that
the
it
woods.
has been.
Like, fuck you, ho.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Kaylee.
These are
I'm gonna interject and
Yeah.
say I was looking up the tattoo. Apparently, she's a Def Leppard fan, and that's like a reference. It says,
When did you get
Love
the tattoo,
bites.
before or after?
I think that one after. But when I looked this up, an article came up about this tattoo, Bella Vita, which she was actually part of her trial. She got this, and when she was getting it, this was 2 weeks after Kaylee Anthony had been seen last, and she told the tattoo artist that the child was with a nanny,
oh my God.
and she'd been missing for 2 weeks, or had been, yeah. So tattoos are an interesting thing for her.
This Substack is so interesting.
What is on it?
It's just kind of, again, it's like total OJ vibe. Like she's just kind of commentating on. It seems like she's making
We
comments.
should all be
on,
aware
like, legal
of the terms of
injustices.
services for every social media account.
Yeah, it's like she's taking a stand
like, "Don't
against
send me
legal
death
injustice.
threats."
But there's comments where people are like, "You are not, you have no legal background." So I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm just very interested in this rebrand. She is not charging for her subscription. She has 4.7 thousand subscribers. Obviously, morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
You know who I like is Amanda Knox, because I actually do think she's innocent.
No, she is. I mean, they
She's fully
proved
innocent.
that
and
she was innocent.
truly wronged.
Yeah,
got
she
some of her
was-
best years of her life in the Italian jail.
Yeah, that story is crazy. The Amanda Knox story.
That was
really,
the one in Italy, right? The roommate.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember the details of that one.
She was studying abroad in Italy, and her roommate was murdered. And
While she was out with
while
some
she
guy.
was out, she came home the next day. The roommate had been murdered, and she didn't go in and check on her. And she left, and then came back, and then reported her dead. And so they were like, "Oh, you left her there. You knew. You killed her." They tied it to all these like, that she was partaking in, dangerous sex and orgies when
They really slandered her.
the Italian media slandered her, and she ended up going to prison for 4 years in Italy, as I think
then they exonerated her?
And then they exonerated her because they ended up finding this guy was arrested for another violent, I believe, sexual crime, and they matched his DNA with DNA found.
And she had no connection to him.
No.
Interesting.
Oh,
That's crazy.
She was
Didn't
just
get that
like being
update.
like a young woman abroad. Like, was she
Yeah, she was in
insane? No,
college.
she was
Yeah, she
probably
was in
partying.
college. Yeah.
and hanging out with guys, but like they really painted her to be this like American slut, whatever.
And she was definitely, I think she's definitely like a bit on the spectrum. So she's a bit like her affect
Yeah,
was
there was
quite,
that thing where she
yeah.
was like doing cartwheels. That was her,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and her affect was a bit flat. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people were like, she has no remorse.
That's not
She
even
has-
autism. There's people.
Yeah,
That's such a
process
common thing.
trauma differently.
Oh yeah, when you're in
After-
shock, there's no way to just.
Yeah, people do insane things. There's people who
It's
like
true.
discover their wife or husband murdered and they go and do the dishes. Like people do all kinds of weird shit.
Well, people are really analyzing that right now online because of the Idaho murders. They just got this week.
Idaho?
You don't know about the Idaho murders?
No.
Brian Kohlberger,
Kohlberger?
who
I don't know any
murdered
about
those,
th-
who
anything about
murdered
this.
those.
4
Where in
college
it?
students were slain a couple years ago in their home, brutally murdered. And they found the guy pretty quickly. I want to say 2 or 3 weeks.
In the early morning of November 13th, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students were fatally stabbed in an off-campus residence in Mascaro, Idaho. On December 30th, suspect Brian Christopher Kohlberg was arrested on 4 counts of first-degree murder. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty.
He's a criminology student
He's
and a professor, or
He
like
was he was getting his PhD in criminology at the
Whoa.
university. In the early morning of November 13th, 2022, 4 University of Idaho's college students were stabbed to death in a shared rental home close to campus. 2 female victims, Madison Mogan and Zaina Kernodal, lived in the house. They worked at the same local restaurant. The third, Kaylee Gonclaves, had recently moved out of the house but had returned to attend a nearby party. The 4th victim, Ethan Chapman, was Kernodal's boyfriend who was sleeping over at the house the night of the attacks. The 2 female roommates also lived at the same house. They were not attacked. Earlier on the evening of November 12th, 2 of the 4 victims, Chapman and Kernodal, were reportedly at an on-campus party at a nearby Sigma Chi fraternity at 8 p.m. until they returned home at 1:45 a.m.
What was the reason? Was it a random burglary or
No,
it was definitely
no,
planned.
It was
Okay.
planned. He
wanted to be a serial killer or something.
So in the summer, he moved to Washington State to pursue a PhD at Washington State in Pullman. It's a campus less than 8 miles west of Moscow. At the time of the killings, he was a doctoral student in criminology and had completed his first semester. They still don't really know why. Well, the only reason they were able to find him was because they had pinged his phone driving by their houses several times.
And his
several
phone
It was
times.
like casing.
Yeah.
the house.
His phone was, I mean, people are worried that he's going to get away with it because of
Because he had
they
been
found his
studying to
DNA.
try and like get away with.
They did find
murder.
his DNA on a knife.
a
a
knife
web-
sheath. Yeah,
Sheath. And he turned his phone off and said he was stargazing that night.
but where he turned it off was right at the house.
Yeah. Or like near it.
Near it.
Near the house,
Like-
like, and then turned it off and then turned it back on a couple hours later. Like, it was this guy.
Yeah.
It was for sure this guy.
Yeah.
That's really scary.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Not Idaho.
it just jarred me. I mean, and well, what I was getting to was that people are going after the other roommates
Yeah.
for the 911 call because I think a friend of theirs came over or something.
I think what happened was they had heard things that night.
yeah, but
and
it's
they-
like a big house.
It's a big
like
house. And they were
6 people live
texting and they were
there.
like, "What's going on?" And then they would have been texting their roommates, "Are you guys okay? What's going on? What's going on?" No response. No response. No response. And it wasn't until the next morning that they went and they looked and they saw.
But that's college, and people
Yeah.
are like,
Yeah, but
people
people-
were blaming the other 2 roommates for being like involved somehow, and it's like, no, that's just like a college house.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You know, I think people have always been like this in terms of their judgment.
Yeah.
It's just that people used to, whisper it to each other's as gossip, around the water cooler. And now people post it all online and have this like insane moral judgment of everything where it's like, why didn't you do this? And it's like, what? Like, it's
These
so
kids just went through a
crazy.
horrific.
Also, how many
thing.
times have you, the amount of times, as we spoke about last episode, that we have, like, that there's been some imminent danger or the potential even.
Yeah.
You know, it's
then
like
we're
this
just
kind of thing where, like,
"Haha."
you hear a gunshot and you think it's a tire blowing out. It's like, why didn't anybody
Exactly,
call
'cause
the
your
police?
brain
It's like, because you
doesn't-
hear tires
Yeah.
blowing out all the time and not necessarily know the difference between the two sounds.
Yeah.
So it's like so crazy. That's really
You hear
sad.
tires blowing out all the time.
Yeah, I live in a neighborhood with lots of old folks. I just feel like they're blowing out tires
You
constantly,
should
or
go
they're
to a
shooting
gun
each other
range.
up.
You'll know.
I
the
have
would
been
like-
to a gun
I would like to go
range.
to a gun range.
I've been to a gun
We
range.
should
You know
go.
what
We
happened to me
should-
at the
Jesse,
gun
we should go.
range?
Can we? I really want
I
to
go
learn.
every week.
Let's go.
Oh, okay.
I actually
Keida.
really
I
want to
can't
learn
go.
how
I have
to
a
operate a
membership.
I
firearm.
can't go.
I've never handled a
No,
firearm
because
before.
I'm a huge advocate of people of any, like, I tell every queer friend of mine or woman or
Are you assuming that she's a queer person?
no, I said woman.
Did you just call her gay?
Yeah.
Wait, so you want queer people to be armed
You're a
more
narcissist
than
and I'm gay.
unqueers?
Oh, for sure I do.
Me too.
No, I'm not. I am dead fucking serious.
No,
like,
I am
I
too.
tell all my, I'm like, go with me to the range.
Something
I'll
has
help
changed.
you figure it
Something
out.
has changed within me. Something's not the same. I'm thoroughly playing by
Wicked
the rules of
3.
someone else's game. Like,
Wicked 3, there's guns in this one.
yeah.
Defying
Yeah,
gravity with
try
a
this,
bullet.
wizard.
Yeah. Cynthia Erivo trying to shoot a gun with those nails.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I just want to know, like, when the shit hits the fan, that, like, I have those basic skills. After the fires, things, like, changed for me. I realized, like, how fragile things were. And I mean, yes, what's going on in our government hasn't made that fear subside in any way. But I also just feel like, too, as a woman, and in this day and age, I do feel like it's kind of something I should just know how to. I don't know if
absolutely.
I'll ever own a gun. I don't think that that's something that I'm
A gun
inching toward.
purse. Jesse gets a gun purse.
I think that's a little bit too much for my
You know the gun
personality.
purses?
Like a holster?
No, there's like special purses for women that are like designed to hold a gun.
firearm.
Oh,
And they're
Yeah.
often like gun girl patterns, like the fake alligator with like a jeweled cross or something.
That's sick.
But like your Glock will fit comfortably. I spent a whole day at a gun range / store, a couple days filming a TV show, and I learned a lot.
Yeah.
You know, people get like airbrush designs on their guns. Like people really customize the hell out of them.
Wow. What a market. Yeah.
Could you get it? Could you get Kenny Sharf to
Literally, yes.
bomb out a Glock?
Would love that.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about, which we've kind of touched on in other ways, but this male loneliness epidemic. The male loneliness epidemic refers to the increasing prevalence of loneliness and social isolation among men, with some studies indicating the significant rise in men reporting a lack of close friendships and experiencing negative health consequences.
Dementia.
Friendship recession.
I
Yeah.
saw that. That
Yeah.
made me giggle.
A decline. A decline. Some researchers and commenters have termed the phenomenon of friendship recession, highlighting the decline in men's social networks. It's impacting their physical and mental health, higher suicide rates. So societal expectations around masculinity and independence can contribute to men's reluctance to seek help or express vulnerability, further exacerbating the problem.
Interesting to me. That one's interesting to me because I feel like if anything, the societal expectation, I feel like the definition of what that is hasn't been updated in a long time because I feel like now the societal expectation of men is to be like the least offensive as possible. Like that's the expectation. And I feel like sometimes,
I think
you know
it's
what I
more.
mean? Like it used to be like they still act like the societal expectation of men is that they have to like go to war and build houses.
Yeah.
And we're living in a world where the problem is that actually that's not the societal expectation.
Yeah, and I think that's how men are treating like right, like you're saying, like men have this expectation that they have to go, they have to like.
I don't
be
even know if it's
builders.
men. It feels just like sort of like this genderless kind of like concept that
Yeah.
like this is the expectation that men are warring against. I'm like, who exactly is?
Well, I
like,
think there
I don't think
is-
anybody has that
I
expectation
think there
anymore.
is like an internet subculture. Just because I'm plugged in on X and like, I mean, who knows? These could all be bots. There is a subculture of, you know, the trad lifestyle and really pushing that, but it also goes along with like, I think part of the male loneliness. Yes, it's friends, but it's like the Reddit and the talking to other people online in a way that's just so critical of anything that doesn't fit, you know, their made up standards. Like I see this a lot when men talk about women online,
Yeah.
like a certain type of man.
Yeah.
Not everyone, because most of the men we know aren't sitting around like, you know, but
Tweeting.
they'll be like, oh, why did she wear this dress? You know, her stomach is showing. And it's like, okay, you're not having sex with anyone.
Yeah.
Clearly. Because nobody actually critiques women like that who's getting laid.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of mentality leads to it because you're being so hypercritical of yourself probably and other men, but also women, that it's like
I think
you
also
paint
too,
yourself
these,
into a corner.
These societal expectations, I think, more have to do with socioeconomic factors, where it's like, you know, men are supposed to be, and to
Yeah,
your
that
point,
too.
Alana, that we've talked about, like, I think like men being a provider and stuff, I don't think that has to go away, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think just the socioeconomic factors that have, like, the lack of home ownership amongst people our age because of inflation and the prices of homes. You know, there's less men also getting college educations. You know, I think there was some sort of statistic I read where it was like 70% of women, 70% of those seeking bachelor's degrees now are women. Like the number of men has significantly declined that are getting college education, which then leads to lower paying jobs, which then further, and so the pool of
That would have something
eligible.
to do with the male loneliness too, if they're not making friends in college. Since I'm
Yeah.
sure that's where a lot of men make friends.
Yeah. We kind of talked about it with Ben too, like, and that was kind of why I was asking him, like, you know, how has he gone about making friends? Because Ben's such a
He has so many friends.
he has so
I
many
just feel like
friends. He's so
social.
outgoing, and like, and I think especially in this town too, it's like I feel like it's so disingenuous and not realistic to say that like you have to fit these societal expectations. Like, of
I
course,
do think there is an expectation for men, what you were saying about socioeconomic, to pay for the first date
Yeah.
meal, to pay for other dates,
Yeah.
to, you know, extend themselves financially. And
yeah,
I think they build it up in their heads a lot, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, you know, they see women online and like what they want.
yeah,
And they kind of apply that to everyone, and they're like, well, I can't live up to this. I can't buy her a Birkin. I can't buy her, you
yeah.
know.
I can't go out to dinner every week with her. I can't
Exactly.
do that.
I can't
and,
take
like,
her on trips. I can't afford this lifestyle. So they kind of just like get angry about it.
And they hole up.
Instead of realizing that not every woman is expecting.
Yeah,
Can I interject really quickly?
yeah,
Yeah.
One topic or one part of this that you haven't brought up yet, like online dating, apparently it's like a very small percentage of the men online get all the women. So there's these huge swaths of guys that just don't get picked because they're average
yeah.
and you know,
I think
And-
the same
and also
goes for
because-
women, though, in a way, because I think men, I've noticed for men, like they see this dating app and they see how many options are available, and they think, oh, well,
Someone better could be just
something
around the
better.
corner.
That's
Yeah.
something I find a lot when I've been on a couple, like 2 or 3, 4, like first dates from online dating over the years. And I always feel like that after the end. Like maybe that's just me being weird, but I think men
No,
are
I've
like,
certainly had that
oh, we have a
experience.
connection, but like maybe there's someone better for
Yeah.
me.
Especially when I've gone out with someone who like had some kind of social capital in some way or
Yeah.
was exceptionally attractive. I would always get that sense that they were like, this was great. And I'd be like, oh, you know, do you
Yeah,
want to progress? And I'd be like,
Let
I
me
don't know.
look
Let me-
around.
Yeah, let me
know.
circle
Let me
back.
see.
Yeah.
Like maybe you're the best I can do, but maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a Victoria's
And you
Secret
can tell,
model
you
who's
can
on,
tell because
you
they
know.
like breadcrumb. It's like it's not like a. You can
Yes.
tell it's not like a terrible first date. They'll breadcrumb and kind of be like, "Hey, are you free?" And then kind of like dip. It's yeah,
Exactly.
It's
They're
very
so
true.
nonchalant. I
Yeah.
feel like that. But that might be like that 30% or whatever of men that are getting picked on these apps. I think it's
it's
also
not 30, but it's like
a
5%.
5%.
There's a smaller pool of quote eligible men and a larger pool
Yes.
of eligible women.
Certainly.
And so the men that are getting picked, to Keida's point, it's a very small percentage of them.
Totally.
And when you mix this in with it too, women are way more independent, which is
Yeah.
great.
We also know how to take good pictures. Sorry. That's a big part of it. Their profiles, I think.
No, so women
It's
are
just
way more
easier.
independent and are not looking to settle down with an average guy.
Yeah,
And then
because
these,
they have the socioeconomic freedom now because of this
yeah,
independence.
and the good-looking guys aren't settling down, and they'll fuck anybody. I mean, most guys I know will have sex with anybody. You know what I mean? Unless
It's a crazy, crazy vibe to throw out there, Keida.
no, it's true though.
Your
It's
friends are like, what?
I'm not just saying my friends,
Yeah.
but I'm saying guys are way less
Picky, yeah.
particular about.
Women are always thinking about their future husband in a way, I think. I think most, maybe not future husband, but like,
yeah, I mean, I'm not going on a date with somebody that's like, I'm like, oh, I couldn't imagine introducing you to my parents, not even my future husband.
men don't
but,
even think
like,
about that.
But men, I don't think men think about that.
They're just like, hope this goes well. Hope we have a good time tonight.
Yeah.
When women are like, okay, Next up, we have him. This is okay. I like this, and this about him. Men are just like, oh, she looks nice, you know.
Yeah.
But there are certainly in women incels though.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I've
am
read
one,
about
babe.
that. It's really
You're looking at one. Femcel, use the
Femcels.
term.
femcel.
Per your note about dating, I think for the men that get picked over, it's probably very difficult to look at the most beautiful women in your surrounding area over and over again and just kind of have this passive rejection at
Yeah.
every single swipe. I remember being on dating apps and feeling that, you know, probably a fraction of the time that those guys get it. And it was still a horrible feeling of like, oh my God, I finally found someone I think is attractive, and then not getting liked back or, you know, whatever it is. So I think technology has a lot to do with it. You're constantly being bombarded with images that create this narrative that everyone else in the world is having the most amazing time, the most fulfilling relationships. Everyone's fucking, everyone's rich except for you.
Yep.
And I think that it's easier for women because we can change we're more encouraged to change ourselves, to modify our physicality.
Yeah.
To upgrade ourselves,
And
at
those make
least
us
on the
feel better.
surface.
Yes.
And that there's always something we can do to make ourselves better and more attractive to others.
We're almost encouraged to seek self-help.
But I'm not even talking about like actual self-help. I'm
Yeah,
just talking about
but
the
I mean-
physical,
but I
the
just mean
surface level.
Even
like,
on the surface level, even if it's like self-help in the form of like getting a trainer.
Yeah,
Or like,
yeah.
like we're almost
Or, like, getting, you know,
encouraged.
Lash
getting-
extensions.
yeah,
like
any
getting
of
your
those
hair
things.
done.
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
your,
That's an
like,
interesting
it's
point.
like it's
I
a
get
way
into
for us
these.
to transform and overcome our circumstances, like our
Yeah.
inherent God-given circumstances. Whereas, obviously, it's like it's funny whenever, you know, I've seen this before where there'll be some guy who, you know, whether it's like a school shooter or whatever, where you'll always find yourself on some corner where you'll see people talking about. It's always someone who's like super lonely and felt like he was being rejected by women. People be like, if he had just gotten a haircut and changed his clothes, blah, blah, blah. But it's like,
People say that. That's
yeah,
so funny.
they do, because it's this idea of
crazy.
like, oh my God, he thought he was this like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not
everybody's,
that bad, kid. You
But-
didn't need to do that.
yeah, I think it's like,
Yeah, Luigi.
I think it's like an inherently, I don't know, it just feels like a masculine thing to not,
Yeah.
it's there's something primal about that for men not to want to like
Yeah.
primp and prime and change themselves.
You're
Yeah.
getting me to, I think, a cure for the male loneliness
Let's hear it.
epidemic.
What's the cure?
Straight men hang out with gay men.
Yeah.
I'm not even fucking kidding. And lesbians, more gay men than lesbians, but hang out with queer people.
Yeah, don't, why are we hanging out with
you will
lesbians?
step it up because
Yeah.
don't worry, they're
A
not going
stud
to
is
turn
not
you
about
into
to
a.
tell you how to true.
This is true.
She's gonna be like, throw on a basketball jersey and you're good, King.
Yeah.
Get out.
You
there.
look great. Yeah, that's
You
true.
look great. I haven't had a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like
exactly.
we know, girl.
Yeah.
That's
we
not
know.
gonna help you.
But I think if straight men had like the gentle but cutting critiques of a gay man around them, or they them, you know, whatever you want
Gay
to.
men or they them?
I think it would add not only some humor to their life and make them funnier, which I think, you know, you can always have a better chance of getting laid if you're actually funny.
Yep.
Sorry to say, but like some of the most physically
Repulsive.
men in the world who are funny as fuck are getting laid because they're funny. You know, you gotta bring something to the
Yeah,
table.
you gotta have some riz.
And look, there's no such thing as being like truly ugly. I don't believe. I think everything's subjective.
There's some truly hideous people that look very good on the outside, and there's some really beautiful people that don't look as good on the outside. So
That's a good point.
I think that's, I don't know, but it's also, yes, there is an element of it where it could be solved if there was more of a comfort around men like bettering themselves. But there's also part of it that I do feel very like fatalistic about, because as long as we're glued to seeing these things
Yeah.
in our face
Yeah.
all the time, because it's like if you extend the conversation beyond male loneliness, like there's a whole other swath of issues that affect women. Just this thing of constantly seeing people putting their best foot forward on the internet.
Yes.
And
it's the highlights
If
reel.
you're
It's
the
not
most
real.
if you're depressed and you scroll, there are days where I literally feel like, you know, bordering on paranoid persecutory delusion, where I'm like, everyone except for me it's everyone except for me.
Yeah.
Where I go femcel
Same.
mode.
Yeah.
Same.
So I can't imagine. And then I look around the house that I love and see my boyfriend and see my
Or you
friends
step
and whatever.
outside and you-
but if I was living in that world and then also had nothing to look around to, like nothing tangible,
Yeah.
Because like,
Ground yourself.
and a lot of people too, it's like people live online now too.
Yeah.
I know.
So
Yeah.
I think all of those things tie
They need
in.
friends too. I
Well,
think that's part of it.
What I've really started, like, I think a lot of people decided in the last couple of years that the simulacra of our online world is real, and like that we actually just have to adapt
Yeah.
to like living online.
The
and, like,
financial component of it has made it like
Yes.
irrefutably real in
Yes.
some aspects.
because
But
influencing is a career.
yeah, but the way
Yeah.
that we get gratification now, like
Yes.
and that's not real.
we have to keep in mind that everything is an edit. Everything is
Yeah.
a highlights reel. Nothing is like the actual reality. And all those people you see having fun are also having horrible times as well. I promise.
This
promise.
is a hard pivot, but like to your point, like none of it's real. I have men come up to me on dates and they go, "You look just like your photo."
I've heard this as well.
Bitch, they're all edited.
Oh.
What are you
Well, I
talking
don't because I'm
about?
too mentally ill to edit
What are
my
you
pictures.
talking about? I go, am I a witch? Have I
You've just become
I've
your
become-
photos.
I just want you to know, because I don't use Facetune, because I actually think it would be like my 13th reason to see myself without my imperfections. Like I'm too insecure for like I can't deal with that. I have never known that you've ever edited a photo.
Thank you. That's
I've literally
gassing me
every
up
single time
way
I
too
just go
much.
like, you've literally heard me be like, you look great here. Your skin
And I
is
think I told
glowing."
you, and I'm like, it's edited.
and I was like, huh? Yeah, I've
I'm
never
like,
known.
no. And by the way, I'm so pro editing. Like, I'm like, don't. I mean,
I'm
Izzy
not
and I
knocking
joke.
it. This is not me being like pious about it. It's
no,
literally
no,
like
no.
No,
I
I
would
get
go
it.
insane.
I get it. I
I've seen
totally
just like
get it.
airbrush photos of myself before and been like,
I didn't edit
oh,
mine for
that's
a
what
long
it would
time.
look
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if I was.
No, I mean, I Facetune myself to the sun. Like, I look like I'm from outer space.
No, we
at
joke
See,
times.
that's
that, like-
fun because it's almost like a work of art.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is. Yeah,
I'm like,
100%.
Jesse, make me Chinese.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I'll start. Do
Do you know who I Facetuned recently or face apped? My great great grandmother, a portrait of her, a painting. She looks bomb with the
That's
face
amazing.
app. I mean, she looked good before.
I think
but-
if I did it, I would post way more photos of myself because I
Yeah.
feel reliant on looking perfect in the moment.
feel like
will
I do
say,
that.
I will
Yeah.
say, Alana, I edit all of our thumbnails.
You do.
Yeah.
So you have been edited.
You have
Sorry.
been edited. All of them are edited. But I know that you prefer like not being super edited, and like you also don't need much. So like you're literally on just level 1.
I appreciate that.
So like
I deeply appreciate
you can
that.
dive into it, but
no,
I'll give
me.
you, I'll
like,
give you your
I
settings.
want you to post at least one where I'm just like crazy
Go to
slave,
space.
just where I'm just like
Yeah,
like at the mic, like
yeah.
I just need that just for one.
I have some ones that I've had to
Yeah.
like just been like, oh no, this is too much.
Yeah. No, Kate. You know Kate, who we hung out in Paris.
Trussell, yeah.
She did this where she took Facetune of photos of herself and she Facetuned them so crazy and turned herself into this influencer character.
Oh, that's funny.
And I told her
so
she
funny.
needed to like make an account
Yeah.
of it and like do it. She's so fucking funny. And she didn't, but I thought it was so hilarious
really
because you could
funny.
see her like the base of her
Yes,
being
that's how it
in there,
is.
but everything.
Wait,
else was
I
so
did go
edited.
crazy. I have a funny thing to tell you guys. I had fun. Wait, but like
That
like,
one is fun.
who's saying no to her on a
That's-
dating app?
No,
That's
you gotta send me
incredible.
that. You gotta send me
I
That
that.
is incredible.
insane, crazy, right? Right? She's
See what I mean? We're
she's beautiful.
We're part of the main.
she's
male,
not real.
We're part of the
That
male
is
loneliness
amazing.
epidemic.
Wait, for this episode,
look
can you
like
please
this.
edit a photo of myself and yassify me like that?
Oh yeah,
To throw in
I'll
this?
yesify you on the thumbnail. On
I
this
can't
one.
stop looking
the
at
problem is though,
my
Alana,
robot.
is that it whitewashes
I
you.
know.
So you turn like
Can you change that? You know, if
yes,
you don't fuck
yes.
with my nose, I feel
yeah,
like
no.
it will-
No. It like bleaches your skin.
Yeah.
So what I have, there
Yeah.
is one that's called.
We
the
need to address the systemic racism within the Facetune apps. What's going on?
Yeah, there is one though that gives you a fake tan. So I'll do that
Yeah,
one. And
please.
I'll,
It's because all these
I got
apps
you.
are like they're beholden to like Asian beauty standards, whereas
yes.
the standard is because they're all like
Super pale.
Chinese apps. Yeah.
Yeah. I sent you this on TikTok, Alana. I don't think you
Oh,
saw
sorry.
it.
I never look at
but
TikTok DMs.
The catfishery of this.
I love blind reacting.
I
I wish we
know.
could do an episode that was 6 hours long or just blind reactions to videos.
I know. We could.
I love the sounds, the makeup one.
I love ASMR.
Okay, there's one where she literally has her neck like
What did
Goes
she...
white.
Oh, wow.
This is makeup products that we don't even have here.
I know.
Yeah, because
I
they-
want this.
They cause mesothelioma.
This would be great for clown and like my makeup.
First of all, how long did this take you to do? 9,000 hours.
A lot of blending going on.
So much blending.
Also, do people really put on this many layers of... I put on like...
Yeah, what happens when you go out in the sun?
I know.
You don't.
It's for pictures only, I think. Kind of.
Also, those like
Oh yeah, those piercings?
they're so
Yeah,
scary.
Fucking hell. Sounds like dark crystal. Please.
There was one where she chewed them.
Whoa.
She
Chewed what?
chewed her
Contacts?
She chewed her contacts.
Why?
I don't know. I think it was to use them as solution.
Okay, this is where the contouring starts happening.
Yeah,
this
this
is where
is-
the magic
This
happens.
is where the magic happens.
Dude, I want to learn how to contour so bad.
I do
can't
too.
Do it.
Oh, I
Bella Hadid me, please. The nose. I want.
okay. This is where
know.
she does the eye. She like puts these things under her eyes to like open them up.
Oh, to create a crease.
Yeah,
What you mean she puts things in
like
there?
she
She
puts
just
something
put
under her
Something
eye.
to make. See how my eyes like don't
Yeah.
crease?
Oh, because she has hooded eyes.
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
I have hooded eyes too, but not as intense.
The end of this,
little
like the after of this, is like real life Facetune. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I like these lashes. I want those.
We have to go. We have to go
Can
to.
we go to
should we go
Sawtell?
to? Yeah, we should go to Sawtell.
next episode? We come back looking like
we
this.
come back with this makeup on.
Keita, can we face app?
Whoa. Oh my God, she's
camera.
drawing on.
She's drawing hair
It
by
looks
hair.
so real.
It's like this is. I mean, it's
How do you
artistry.
make it even? That's insane.
I with the
Dolly
nails
makeup.
too. We're forgetting the fact that she's got actual.
Oh, this is like a
weapons on
type.
her.
Yeah.
This is a type of makeup.
This is a white woman now.
Yeah.
Duyen makeup.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a white woman now.
Yeah, you're looking at a white woman.
She's Irish Catholic.
No, she's Asian.
Irish Catholic, babe. What are you talking about? We should come in one day to shoot the podcast, like with
Completely.
unrecognizable makeup.
Can we
Yeah.
have someone do our makeup?
Yes,
on
Yeah.
we'd have
air?
to. I don't think.
It will block us the whole time. It won't be very cinematic, but sure, we can
You
talk
could have
about
camera
it.
angles on each of us where you get 3
Yeah.
makeup artists.
And then, okay, this is the other thing.
Sometimes
so,
2
So we had
hours.
one of our. Thank you guys so much for engaging with our AI video. That was really fun. I want to show you guys this video that my friend Riley sent me. This is an AI generated television show, like a children's television show. Somehow they prompted an AI to create the visuals and script for a television show, and it's basically like watching TV from the multiverse.
Welcome to Gorbo's Swim Hole, where family fun gets wet, weird, and wronger than wrong. I'm Damp Dave and new here. Let me show you around. Introducing our newest attraction, the Mucus Flume. The entrance
Yeah,
looks
this is
like a
like
hole in the
literally
ground, but it's
Multi-
so much more.
multidimensional
Let's hear
TV.
from one of our
This
satisfied
is nightmare
riders.
fuel.
Oh, the mucus flume is just divine. It digested my youngest child during our first ride. Now he's part of the attraction's circulatory system. If you can hear me, Timmy, I'll be back tomorrow to see if you made it down the slide. I got 20%
They
off
definitely
my next
prompted
visit,
it make
so I'm
Rick and
bringing
Morty
your brother
live
and sister
action.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
They did not
The slide
prompt it
promised
for a
they'd all
children's
be
TV show.
reunited.
Continue your journey on the digestive
Yeah,
tubes,
it was
where
prompted
guests
for that.
experience the thrill of being processed through an otherworldly digestive tract. These aren't ordinary water
I love the
slides.
jazz.
Each tube has been growing since the incident 3 summers ago. Our scientists believe they're actually alive.
The big sphere at the entrance. It blinked at me. Then I went down what felt like an esophagus. The ride changed direction halfway through. I swear it was making choices. When I reached the middle section, everything went dark.
The other thing I was going to show you, have you guys seen Tokyo Tony's absolute tirade against Beyonce?
I know who one of those people is.
Beyonce? Tokyo Tony's
No.
Black China's Tokyo Tony's Black China's mother.
Dream Kardashian's
Okay.
grandma.
Thank you. I needed that.
I know.
That reference.
Why do y'all like Beyonce so much? She's a mutt. She's raggedy. She don't do shit for nobody. She act like she high. She can't talk. She don't have no body, no hips, no nothing. They gotta make pads in her dress to give her a little ass. She don't look like she shower good. I never hear anybody say she smell good. Like, girl, your fucking whole shit is portals. You charging all this motherfucking money for a goddamn concert ticket to what? Fans blowing and shit? Nigga, we tired of your ass. Take your ass on, bitch. Go and fucking mentor some new music artists so they can take your place. No, that bitch gonna be like, Christina, bring me the axe. When she see don't nobody feel like her ass no more, bitch. Oh, Joan Crawford acting ass.
That's so funny. She's referencing Mommy Dearest.
Really? Oh yeah,
with Faye
Joan
Dunaway.
Crawford.
Christina, bring me the axe. That's an insane reference
I didn't
for her
even
to pull
catch
out of
that.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, why is that
crazy.
triggering something?
I
Oh, it's
know.
Mommy Dearest.
Is
That's-
that not the
That is
funniest
fucking
thing?
hilarious.
Is
She was
not
saying
the
that about
funniest
Blue
thing?
Ivy. Blue Ivy.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
Weirdly, I feel like maybe that's true.
No, the thing about Tokyo Tony is her delivery is always like, huh? But
That's
like
I
she makes
can't
the
even
point.
believe that. That was that probably missed. That's
Yeah.
90% of those comments maybe don't understand how iconic that is.
No, they don't.
Because she's
That's
spot on.
probably
That's
what I
like that. She's spot on for that. I love Mommy Dearest. I
Oh
just
my
remembered how
God.
much I love that movie. I want to go home and
So
watch that
good.
movie.
You should.
You ever seen it?
No.
Oh my God, it's
Oh my
amazing.
God.
It's Faye Dunaway playing Joan Crawford,
Oh.
doing the story of Joan Crawford's relationship with her children, and
Interesting.
it's amazing. It killed Faye Dunaway's career.
Why?
There's a number of stories, some that she's so difficult to work with, others that she embodied
that's-
Joan Crawford and was so method that it also subsequently killed her career.
I think it's
Interesting.
both. Method actors
Don't fuck
don't
with
get a,
me, fellas. Oh my God, that movie's so fucking good.
She's
It's
a
insane.
treasure. I'm obsessed with
Why
her.
are hangers? Oh my God. That's what was so amazing. I feel like when she transformed for Mommy Dearest, I feel like it's so interesting how things change because it's like she transformed into this like, Joan Crawford's obviously so beautiful, but she transformed into a grotesque character.
Yeah.
And people sort of hated her for it. Whereas like Charlize Theron transformed into Eileen Wuornos for
Yes.
Monster, and everybody was like,
Praising
"Oh
her.
my God,
Where's her Oscar?
you
She won the
pretended to be
Oscar, I
like
think.
slightly heavier."
Yeah.
No, she's amazing. That movie was incredible. But
Thank you guys for submitting advice questions. If you need advice, ask us, tinyurl.com/night school advice. Okay, so this is a long one. I have not read this before,
Lord.
so let's dive in. I want to share and ask for girl feedback around the closure my text sent me regarding knocking me up. This is the text. I've been thinking a lot about this text the past week, and honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to respond. I could sense your pain and how hurt you were and still are over the experience, and I don't want to say or do anything to exacerbate that or make it worse. I was just going to let you have the last word on this, but then I started thinking if this was the last time we were ever going to speak to each other, I would at least like to explain my perspective about the relationship and the pregnancy/abortion. Because I am now realizing that there is a lot we haven't discussed regarding the relationship and the abortion. I am sending you this last text not because I want you to forgive me or empathize with me. I am doing this for myself. I am sending this because this is truly the last time we speak, I would regret not telling you all of the things I have been thinking and wanting to say regarding the last 1.5 years. The first thing I want to say is I feel pretty hurt, sad, and disappointed with the way that our friendship is ending. I'm disappointed that our friendship is ending over one singular conversation that we had, a conversation where you were tipsy and I clearly wasn't in a position nor able to articulate my thoughts fully. I was a little nervous and I wasn't prepared to have the conversation. Also, I'm not blaming you or saying it's bad that you were tipsy. I just don't think those are the right conditions under which we should be having a serious conversation like the one we had. I wish we communicated more in between that phone call and this text you sent me. The things I said that night do not at all capture my thoughts on the abortion, and I am deeply saddened that as a, quote, friend, you didn't give me an opportunity to clarify the things that I said. My own mental health was constantly being compromised because of your inability to be in control of your own happiness. Because of all the stuff that happened with the pregnancy/abortion, I was starting to feel unhappy and unfulfilled with the relationship. Furthermore, I was growing resentful because I'd spent the last 4 years of my life fixing my happiness and felt that I was deserving of someone who could do the same. Unfortunately, you were not that person. I didn't want to be stuck in that relationship or wake up 5 years later and still be dealing with someone else's problems for the rest of my life. I wanted to reclaim my old life back, the life where I could put all of my energy into myself and prioritize myself. And then later that summer, I got you pregnant. pregnant. At that point, I couldn't just break up with you because there was a possibility that you would have the baby. But then you decided to have an abortion, and I supported you in that decision every step of the way. I went to all the Planned Parenthood visits and consultations with you. I was at your apartment with you when you got the 2 abortion pills. You went through absolute hell with those pills and abortion, all the pain, the bleeding, the cramping. It was horrible to see you like that. I did try to be the best supportive boyfriend that I could at the time. I got you bone broth soup and snacks from Girl, you said
Virtue
this.
signaling
Girl, you said this
much.
whole motherfucking text with your chest into this. I honestly respect it. I got you bone broth snacks from Target and genuinely tried to be there by your side to support you. Not saying I went above and beyond, but I don't know. But I don't know if I agree that I, quote, distanced myself from the abortion when it happened. In my perspective, I tried to do all that I could when I was in this relationship to help you deal with the emotional and physical trauma of the abortion. I am so sorry that in pursuit of my happiness, I inadvertently cost you yours. I never intended to get you pregnant. I never intended on ruining your life. And I never intended on being the villain in this story. So I am deeply sorry. I know words don't make it any better, but I have to tell you that because I absolutely mean it from the bottom of my heart. In regards to the relationship, I am completely at peace with this experience. I don't harbor any anger or resentment towards you for the way that I felt during that relationship. So I truly hope you can heal and find peace within yourself just as I have done. Thank you for being in my life. You taught me so much about relationships. I'm sorry I couldn't be the best version of myself for you, but I will self-reflect and do better in the next stage of my life. Thank you for everything, and I wish you nothing but success and happiness in your life.
Hate. Immediately hate.
I have a different perspective, I have to say.
Really?
Yeah, well,
Same.
I have to say, I see myself in this so much, being
Really?
the girl.
Oh.
Yeah.
1,000%. My last relationship ended traumatically, not because of abortion or anything, but just ended traumatically because he was deeply unhappy and I was deeply codependent and I was entirely reliant on him. My whole job in life was being his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I didn't recognize that until everything fell apart. But my entire purpose was to be his girlfriend.
And you felt that within yourself. Is
I
what
felt
you're
that within
saying, too.
myself. And he treated me, he acted out because of, I was just reading that. It was like a trip to read that because it was literally, these are the things he said to me about how he felt, of like this sort of claustrophobia, feeling like he had to be my therapist, feeling like
Make you
he couldn't be
happy.
responsible for his own happiness because he had to be responsible for mine. All things that in the moment when he would express these things, I was like, you're a bad boyfriend.
Yeah.
And you aren't, and it's like, in some ways he was a bad boyfriend, but in other ways I was not being a good partner. I was not taking control of anything within my life. You know, it's very long. I think I have to say I felt like he did a pretty good job of taking responsibility for his feeling. Even the way he said, like, in the way he said, I don't harbor any resentment towards you for the way I felt during that time period.
Yeah.
Like the recognition that they were his own perceptions as well.
To
It sounds like a
me,
shitty situation.
It does
Yeah.
sound like a shitty situation, and obviously we don't know what she said to him first or like her side of it. But I do think there was a little bit of like condescension in his voice. Like it was like he was saying, and I've like had guys do this to me where it's like, I don't know how to even verbalize it, but it felt like he was being a bit
I'm
like,
doing this for you.
yeah, or not even that. Like to me, it felt like he never brought any of this up during the relationship. Because it felt like I feel like he wouldn't be saying that much if he had. He would
Well,
just,
again, just playing devil's advocate. My ex and I had the conversations about all this stuff over and over and over again. But if I could fill a novel with the amount of times that we both went back with these essay-long things of like,
Yeah,
I
of
just want to put
course.
it all down in one place. This is where I'm coming from, just so you really know. I mean, this could be the very first time. It does. Sometimes you talk about things,
of course.
and
yeah.
you have a million tiny conversations where you hope they get your meaning.
Yeah.
And then you zoom out and you go, do they really get my meaning? Like, I've had those conversations even recently with my ex of being like, you really know that this was the why I did this thing. When in these
Of
fucked up
course.
situations, it's like you really, you could talk forever about why and how things went wrong. It's a shitty situation.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry thank you
Yeah.
for sharing. And
Yeah,
I'm
thank
so
you.
sorry that you went through that and those several
Yeah.
complications with the abortion. I think
he
truth-
just blamed her a little for his unhappiness a little more than I
Well,
would.
I would say the biggest piece that I would blame is, again, I don't even say blame, but it's if you're in a relationship with someone who is wounded and is not able to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
then sticking around and being their therapist and being that person for them to lean on out of a fear that if you move away, the bottom will drop out is not compassion.
No.
What's actually compassionate is to leave earlier.
Yeah.
When you're in a dynamic like that, is to leave earlier. Because I really, to the girl who sent this in, I am you. Like 1,000%. This is not at all me like siding with him and like, fuck you. I am you through and through. But just with looking back at the dynamic that I was in, I can see that there were in the wake of our relationship, there were ways that I almost resented that he had been present, because then I had to learn how to do certain things for myself that I've been relying on him for. And it's true, there was a lot of times where he wasn't being honest with me about what the toll it took. Every time I broke down, and I was like, thanks for that. And he was like,
but he also, this guy didn't take any responsibility for, I feel like he didn't say like, oh, like I know what I've done. Like he said that, but then he doesn't like elaborate on anything that he.
Well, I didn't take it necessarily as the kind of thing where he was trying to do that. I feel like he was trying to lay it out on the table. Like the main thesis was, I didn't leave you because you had an abortion. I left you because there were all these pre-existing issues, and it just felt like that because they all compounded at once.
Yeah.
I guess it's just the length of it makes me uncomfortable.
It
just
is,
felt a little
lot of
like him
repetition.
reiterating how it was about her mental health and how she's not mentally
and listen,
well.
I don't know this guy. It was very cleverly written. Like there's a chance that he's a total psycho or whatever, and it's written. He's a lawyer. It's written in that kind of language. But
I also feel like too, sometimes you don't get closure, and sometimes you never know why. And I think in most of my relationships, with the exception of the last one, I never got that sense of closure as to why things ended. And I feel like there is some karmic universal gift in that message, in that you now know that it had nothing to do with the abortion or the complications from it.
The abandonment element gets lessened from that.
Yeah.
That the hard things are too hard and people will leave you.
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with that. I also think, too, you can take away from this that this person deeply, deeply loved you at one point.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like, deeply loved you and cared about you. And he said in the first part of his message, he's upset with how the friendship ended more than anything. I think that this relationship probably took a toll on, this relationship took a toll on both of you.
Yeah, for sure.
And
for sure.
To be able to, men aren't really known for articulating their feelings very well, but what a gift that you have that to look back on when your brain does start running and start saying things, the intrusive thoughts start going, God, it's because of the abortion, it's because of this, it's because of that. Sounds like there were a lot of pre-existing conditions, wrong term, but you know what I mean, before that, and you don't always get closure like this.
Yeah, it's true.
And there's a blessing in that, I think. But each of us have different opinions.
I'm just triggered because it reminds me of when me and my ex broke up, like the first time, and he was like he just made it out to be like I was crazy.
Yeah.
And then like went back to me over and over again.
And you're not wrong that there is, I will agree, there's a missing component of this, of like why, there's a part of it as a spiritual thing. He attracted you in this condition because there's some part of him
was broken
that was probably also
time.
broken, and something that so I agree with you in that sense, looking back over it, that there is an aspect, the lack of responsibility around
his actions.
Yeah, or not even his actions, but like what part of him was also
led
struggling?
him there, yeah.
Because he talks about, I needed to be able to focus on myself.
My own
what
happiness,
wound did you have
Yeah.
that you needed to? Because that was a conversation, I remember having with my ex where he was like, I had so many fucking issues, and then you had all your fucking issues that you needed me to fix, and I was like barely treading water at certain points, and then I just collapsed. So that part is missing, I would say, from that dialogue.
Yeah.
It's like because the idea of like I really just wanted to be happy. It's like, yeah, but there's some, I do believe spiritually, like we don't just blindly attract people that are damaged in some capacity. Like I've never been damaged in a relationship with a totally healed person.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist.
And I mean, in my current relationship, I think I entered my current relationship slightly damaged, certainly chipped. And he was so secure that it was, he didn't really have an issue fixing things for me,
And to
clearing up
Alana's
certain
point,
things.
you will find someone.
Yeah.
You will find someone that on your own path too. It sounds like you have a lot of healing to do from this. This sounds like a really traumatic
Yeah.
experience with health and stuff. And you will come out on the other side of this. Take this as a blessing because not everybody gets closure. But also to Izzy's point, he could be a fuckhead and we could not be, there could be pieces of the story that we're missing. And
Yeah,
so,
right back. Give
right
us some
back.
more
And
intel.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Yeah.
sharing. That was
Thank you for being vulnerable.
for being vulnerable.
And on the missing pieces, also just my last thought to leave you on that note of that is, again, talking about this aspect, missing whatever aspect of his wounds, just know that he had his own wounds during that time period.
Yes.
If you're not aware of that, know that he had his own wounds. It wasn't just you like spinning in your own whirlpool.
No, it takes two to tango.
He's also
Yeah.
It takes
an
two to tango.
autonomous person who,
Yeah.
you can always.
You were both
See
dealing with shit in a shitty situation, trying to weather it, and it,
But please write back in
Yeah.
and let us know how you're
Yeah.
doing. We thank you so much for
Thank you.
reaching out.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps up this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, for the love of God, like, comment, subscribe, write us a good review, share us on your social media networks. We had our first piece of fan art. That made me happy.
What?
Help me remove the fucking knife from my wrist. You want to keep me alive? Like, comment, fucking
Who
subscribe.
made fan art?
I posted it. No, you guys don't look at the group chat. Anyways, we're over time. I love you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.